Hi everyone, I'm Taluka from Markers and Minions, and this is my Facebook group. Welcome. So, a little about myself before we get started, for those of us that are new or just joining in for the first time. I am a third grade teacher. I spend most of my time in third grade. I've done second grade. I'm out of LA, and I've been using Benchmark for 4 years now. The 2015-2016 school year, I was on the adoption committee for my district, where we kind of piloted these different programs, and that's how I first became acquainted with Benchmark Advance. It was in that same year that I became Project GLAD trained, so I was really enthusiastic about that, and I was able to see a lot of parallels with those teaching strategies and with our program. So that's what really made me love this program. So we adopted it. My first year with Benchmark, I taught a 2-3 combo. It was crazy. It was my first time with a combo. I also had my first baby that year. She was little. I went back to work right away. So I was kind of doing that. The combo, new curriculum is sort of nutty. But I loved it and I embraced it. And after my first full year with Benchmark, I started this Facebook group. It was in the summertime, August of last year, and it quickly exploded, and it's definitely changed my life. It's very personal to me, and it's been a pleasure and a joy, and it's basically the best example, I guess, of a professional learning community that I've ever been part of or that I've ever seen. It's really positive. We've been able to kind of grow with one another and just create something really amazing. Anyway, that's my background. I now have another baby who's 4 months now, and I'm home with her this year. So I'm taking a really long extended maternity leave. And during that time, I'm also maintaining this group and then also trying to keep up with the close reading companions that I have promised all of you. Anyway, so as you're coming in, let me know what grade level you teach, and if you dressed up for Halloween, what were you for Halloween? Hope you all had a good day and survived. And thank you to those of you who downloaded my crosswords puzzles. My husband's very lyrical and musical, and he's into poetry and writing. So I was like, I need your help. And he helped me make this little Halloween freebie thing with riddles that rhymed. It was really cute. So a lot of people sent me pictures of their kids using it in their classroom, and I showed Luke, and he was like, okay, let's do a Thanksgiving one. He loved it. So thank you. Hi guys. Hi my friends. Also, okay, so back on track. November challenge. I announced our November challenge, which I think all of you saw. It's kind of really taken off. Unit 4 is all about, oh no, I'll fix that after. It's all about perspectives and point of view. And I thought, well, how perfect would it be to sort of play off of that? Oh, it's still in the frame. There. So to play off of that and set up a pen pal type thing. So I actually there's a little freebie in my TPT shop that you can use or not. It's like a letter template or a little postcard template. And you can sign up to be, or coordinate to be pen pals with someone else in this group. And, it'd be neat if you could find someone in another state or even another country, since we're worldwide now. And your students will be able to share their own perspective and point of view on their own life and their experiences and learn about someone else's. So to sign up or to coordinate that with someone else, just comment on that thread. It says November challenge. It's up in the announcements part of this group. If you click on see all, you'll see it. And yeah, I think a lot of you already have paired up. So it's going to be exciting. Terry, you are so far ahead. Gail, For Halloween, we do a literary parade. I was the day the crayons quit. I love that idea. That's super cute. Yay, glad they liked the crossword. All right. Okay, so I see a lot of people are starting Unit 4 on Monday. I was kind of worried because at this point last year, I was not on Unit 4 yet. I was still in Unit 3, and I think a lot of us still are in Unit 3. But I'm going to be, next week is my husband's birthday, so I will not be going live, and we have mother-in-law visiting from out of town. And the following week, I'll be traveling to Spokane, Washington. So I won't be around for the next couple weeks, which is why I wanted to at least introduce Unit 4, and then I can revisit it in a couple weeks if we need to, like once I'm back and settled. Awesome. All right, so the link to get the Pen Pal freebie thing that I made is bit.ly, so it's one of the short links, /mm for Markers and Minions Pen Pals, and I will type it in the comments right now. And you can use these letter writing templates for really anything, but I thought it would be neat to kind of make that for you guys. Okay, and if it's not, it's saying it's not working, but I think it does. Okay, also before we begin, I have a few store updates, and then I want to do a giveaway. So my store is updated for the close reading companions. Units 1, 2, 3, and 4 are done for grades 2 through 5. Those are the only grades I'm doing them for. And they look like this. So each file rather, has a student checklist page. I added page numbers to this. So if you like it, if you don't like it, let me know in the file when you download it. There's a link so you can let me know like how it's working out for you. Some of the pros obviously are like easier navigation for you and the kids if you are doing it like booklet style and handing it out at the start of a unit. But it doesn't work. Alternatively, it won't work if you're just giving pages here and there. And if you're like me and you skip lessons, you don't do it all, you might not want to like give an entire booklet. You might want to send a page home for homework or have something be whatever, used a different way. So just let me know what you prefer. So far, people are liking the page numbers. I think it makes it a little easier. Each companion page has the main standard up here. So I've kind of determined what was the most essential standard, because in Benchmark, of course, we pull up a lesson and there's 10 zillion, that's not a number, but it's okay, standards that we're supposedly hitting. So I determined what was essential, or like the main one. I wrote the close reading purpose there. And then some of my companion pages have like a table. Benchmark, all of the graphic organizers are available under the weekly presentations online. You can print those off, use those. They do the same thing. They're all tables and they never have lines. So mine, even on the pages that are not as exciting, that just have a table, they at least have lines for your students. If I was able to get creative, I did. So like this is a point of view lesson, and you're writing the different point of view for these characters. And then finally, this is the part that takes the most time. I generate a test question that pertains to whatever it is you just read in that lesson, and it assesses what you just practiced. So it's kind of familiar, gets them used to like the style of the question, it gets them used to referring back to text. So some people use this immediately following the lesson, some people do it like as test prep or whatever, or a way to like connect, bridge the connection at home too, and have parents kind of become familiar with the style of questions. So anyway, these are ones that I make up, and so at the very end of your file, you're gonna have an answer key for all of these. So that's the gist of it. They're done. I will start Unit 5 in a couple weeks and hopefully not get behind. I will be doing a giveaway for Unit 4. Right now, they are like 20% off on my store or something, but I want to give one away to every grade level, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So the way to do it is follow my Instagram, because I'm trying to like get better at that. It's one of my personal goals. This is my name tag. So if you're on your Instagram, let me see, I'm not sure if you can see, and you click on the 3 lines up top, you'll see name tag. I will post a picture of what my name tag looks like, and then you open that up, and if you scan it, it'll take you directly to my Instagram. Or you can just search Markers and Minions. But anyway, follow my Instagram, and then there's a photo on there of the cover of my Close Reading Companions for Unit 4. Just comment on that and let me know how it would benefit your students, or what particular aspect you think you would like this for, like the test question, the organizer part, whatever. So, and then I will pick, or I'll have my husband pick realistically, and announce tomorrow evening. All right, let me catch up with comments. So, oh, and let me know your grade level also, because I need a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and a 5th grade teacher. So comment on that picture with your grade level and how you think it'll help. Joan, I'm starting Unit 3 tomorrow. I'm so behind. I don't think you are. I think you're right on track. Gail, you went to the safari park to kick off Unit 3. For 2nd grade, you saw many animals and habitats. Love it. Amanda, I think I answered your question. Thank you, Joan. Allison, do you give the booklet as a whole unit or week by week or lesson by lesson? I think it just depends. Last year I started these with my class. I didn't publish them on TPT at that point because I didn't know. I was still waiting to hear back from Benchmark to see if I could make them. So, and then also I didn't know if I was like able to take on the huge task of it. So last year, before I had started making them for every grade level, I would staple them as a booklet at the start of the unit, and then I would give the booklet out at the beginning. But you could also do it just by week or page by page. I know, like, I've heard that teachers, if they skip a lesson or if they don't finish a lesson, they send it home for homework. So you might want to keep it loose for that reason. Just started Unit 1 last week. Your creations were helpful. Week 2 starts tomorrow. Thank you, Lisa. Oh, Amanda, welcome back. She just returned from maternity leave. Hi, Tina. All right, we use pocket folders. Yeah, exactly. Us too. We use 2 pocket folder, the little plastic kinds, and then they keep their consumable in there, and then their writing booklet, their spelling pamphlet, their close reading companions, anything they might need, and then I have them clip it to a clipboard so it's easy to travel around the room with. Gail, I love that I can have one sheet to grade and then send home for parents to see. Mm-hmm. Okay, we have a lot of 3-day weeks this month due to conferences and holidays. Any suggestions as to which lessons you might leave out, or would you just spread the week over 2 weeks? A 3-day week is tricky. If it were a 4-day week, which we have a lot of those, I would say just move on, go to the next week. But 3 days, you might want to, if you're able to spread it over or like extend it into the next week, depending on your pacing guide, then you probably might want to. Otherwise, you're really going to want to look at your overview for the unit and determine, like, okay, based on my theme, like, what are my main essential standards? And that's actually something I'm going to do today for Unit 4 is I typed out like what I think is the most essential part for each grade level. So if you did have to trim away at some of those lessons, you could do that. Key events, key details, that lesson is always the first lesson you do after you start a new text. That's the follow-up. So since they're doing that on and on and on forever and ever, you might move some of those or cut some of those out. All right, pocket folders. Could you add a PBL? Okay, I don't think that was for me. I will talk about, yeah, okay, or you could add a PBL if you, but I will talk about like a way that I will extend Unit 4. But if you're short on time, you might not want to bring in so many extras. Okay. So Unit 4 in sum is point of view. Now in kinder and first grade, do I have any kinder and first grade teachers watching? Down in those grade levels, you're not going to really be talking about point of view yet, but you will be focusing on telling stories. So it's a precursor. In kindergarten, your theme is writers tell many stories, and your essential question is why do people tell stories? So I looked at the overview of your lessons over the 3 weeks for kinder, and the one that I thought was the most important that pertained to our theme is identify the role of the author and illustrator. So it's across grade levels, it's going to be that 0.6 standard, and how that sounds or looks varies by grade level. So in kinder, you're determining the role of the author and just look, why do people tell stories? And in first, you're going to evolve a little from that. Stories have a narrator, so you're going to introduce that word narrator. How do people create stories? And what I think is your like essential learning target for this unit would be identify who's telling the story. So you've got a few lessons that are identifying the narrator. So that would be the lesson that definitely pertains to this unit. It's specific to this unit. Now, a lot in our program, you know, everything spirals, it comes back up again, but there are definitely some standards that work really well with specific units, right? So like Unit 2 is all about characters. So you're really gonna go into that like character analysis standard over and over and over again in that unit. So Unit 4 is really for that 0.6 standard. In second grade, many characters, many points of view. So now you're introducing the idea of point of view. You're going to be reading Stone Soup and then Stone Garden. So 2 different versions. You're going to be reading The Blind Man and the Elephant, so how each man interprets what he feels in a different way. So it's different points of view. Your essential question is, how can a story change depending on who tells it? So yeah, that Stone Soup, Stone Garden, that's perfect. So it's kind of like a different rendition of it. In third grade, we've got comparing points of view. So now you're not only identifying what those points of view are, but you're now like comparing them side by side. What makes people view the same experience in different ways? Second, your essential standard would be identify points of view. Third, yours is any lesson that has to do with the narrator point of view, reader point of view, and character point of view. So sprinkled throughout all 3 weeks, you'll have one lesson that's just on the narrator, type of narrator, one that's just on the reader's point of view, one that's just on the, what was the other one? Character's point of view, and then you're going to kind of like connect them. So see, like these are 4 different points of view, and you kind of compare them. Okay, let me pause for a sec, catch up with comments. Hi from Puerto Rico, cool. Can't wait to do the Big Bad Wolf and the 3 Little Pigs again, yay. The standards form you just talked about, is that available for each unit and grade? Like, this is just what I typed up. See, this is my outline. This is like telling me what to talk about. I can share this if you want. But again, like this is just what I think is essential. Like totally go off of what you think for your kids in your district. And if you've already determined what's essential, like go off of that. Quinn, of course, you can incorporate art with it. She's our art guru, our art expert in this group. All right. 4th grade, understanding different points of view. What do we learn when we look at the world through the eyes of others? And in 4th grade, you've got a lot of lessons around first person point of view narrator versus third person. And then fifth, recognizing author's point of view. How can other perspectives help us evaluate the world? So you analyze and compare your points of view, and you there are like a few lessons on like theme, like determining what a theme might be in a text based on point of view. Fifth grade, I saw this come up recently. There was an interesting thread in our group about the fifth grade texts. Really, a lot of the texts in Benchmark they don't shy away from controversy, right? So they've put these issues kind of in your classrooms. You're reading about, I mean, you read Unit 1, right? I mean, across almost all the grade levels with injustices and violation of rights and whatnot. So fifth grade, you have some heavy texts in there again. You're going to be reading I Hear America Singing, and then I Too. So they're two different versions, they're two different perspectives. It definitely touches on, racial injustices as well. But you're going to be really analyzing that and just picking out themes based on the author and what the author is trying to convey. I had a lot of fun doing the fifth grade companions. And sixth grade, the reader's perspective. How does the journey through life influence a person's point of view? I saw a lot of author's point of view lessons, and then it connected to more theme, like fifth grade, and then also drawing inferences around points of view. All right, let's see. Looking for ways to incorporate this unit with holiday traditions. Totally. So Lori's looking for ideas. So it's all about your own perspective, right? Your own personal experiences. Actually, one of the things that I was talking about with Luke, my husband, he was saying he wanted to do the crossword puzzle thing again for Thanksgiving. So we'll do a little riddle thing. But also in my family, we share the story of our first Thanksgiving here, like when the ancestors got off the ship, right, first settled here. It's a really neat story about an interaction, an exchange between my ancestors who came and the Native American people. And so we retell it verbally every year at Thanksgiving. I was planning on like typing it up and sharing it as part of the crossword thing, and just so to show that like we all have our own experiences, we all tell stories based on our experiences and our points of view. So there's definitely a lot of ways that you can bring in students' traditions into this unit. Diana, I'm just so happy to be almost finished with Unit 3 in 4th grade. Do you have a bunch of little poets yet? Okay, let's see. We're on Unit 2, 2nd grade, and 4th grade as well. 2nd and 4th grade. Where can we learn more and find all these goodies? Which goodies? Okay, so let's talk about anchor chart. Is that next on my list? Yes, anchor chart. I lost my Unit 4 anchor chart, or I didn't pack it up and it's somewhere at my school before I left on maternity leave. But I have a photo of it in our group, which I will put in our unit afterwards. Basically, it works well, I think, for second and up, because it really talks about point of view and perspective. You'd have to kind of change the wording for first and second, for first and kinder, because you're focusing more on narrators. But I had these guys, the Ray-Bans. I just drew those in the middle. I put our essential question up top in the word perspective. And I defined perspective, and then I had 3 areas that I touched on. One was, let me pull it up. Okay. One was motives. So I brought back motives, like from Unit 2, where we talked about that a lot. And I wrote why a person has a specific view, what influences them, past experiences, their point of view motivates what they do. So that was the first category here. The next category I did was point of view. So I defined perspective. I highlighted that your point of view can be different from someone else's point of view. And then I talked about 3 types of narrators. So first, second, and third person. And second, like the best example of second person narrator, and I'm still not 100% confident on it, would be Oh, the Places You'll Go, I think, by Dr. Seuss, because he's saying you a lot. He's speaking to the reader. In hindsight, you're not going to be dealing with second person narration, just obviously first and third. So you might want to talk about that. Maybe not, or maybe not. Anyway, and then the last category here is opinion. So I talked about how your opinion are your feelings, your perspective, your argument. There's oftentimes a counter argument. So when someone has an opposing point of view, and then in that event, in that case, you might try to persuade or convince. So this chart kind of bridged the ideas in our unit and our text with a project that I do every year that I did pre-benchmark too. It's my 3 Little Pigs unit. It's 3 weeks long. It is a writing unit, and I'll show you what that looks like. It gets its own anchor chart. I'll take here, yeah. Whoa. Okay, hold on, guys. So if you're missing that genre writing, this is a fun way to bring it back for a few weeks. Okay. So here's my chart. We read the 3 Little Pigs and the true story of the 3 Little Pigs, and we compared it. So we compared the points of view. That was our main focus. So I had different words that described our piggy, what their motives were, what their actions were, what they interpret, because there's a lot. I talked about a lot about like dialogue and the way that we can interpret what we hear. That's also a little side note. Fun way to kick off this unit might be to play telephone and start something whisper, 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 and see how it changes, and then talk about like, well, the reason why it changes is because we have got different points of view and different interpretations of things. Let me see if I can elevate this. So we talked about how their interpretations were different, and how, like in the true story of the 3 Little Pigs, he says that he says something, they hear it differently, and it leads to this conflict. And then we also talked about the consequences in the end. Afterwards, we basically did this whole like meet the jury, what really happened, analyzing the events, both sides. This was fun because I brought a blazer to school, and each student wore it, and I took a picture of them, and then that was the jury, and then I just printed off pictures from 3 Little Pigs, and then I like got mat pins and twine, and we like were solving the case. And let's see. So in this file, you'll see like what to do every day for each week, how to do this chart. And then it teaches students how to find evidence, so citing evidence. And for this, what I did was I printed off the stories from online. You can find like PDFs, and then I made a zillion copies. You don't have to do that, but I had my students work in teams with actual copies where they extracted evidence. Brainstorming, so here's where they talked about like what their topic was, what type of writing, just like when you analyze the prompt the first day each time in your weeks, and then what text will I use to support my writing. It's then when I teach my third graders what a thesis is and how your thesis incorporates your opinion or your argument, and then 3 solid reasons to support your thesis. And then in week 2, that's what you do. Then they elaborate on their reasons, and there is an activity that I like to do called an author's talk. And it's on my blog. You can do it really for any kind of writing. Let me link it for you there. And basically, it's a way for students to generate supporting details without sounding so repetitive. So what I did was I took different reasons that the students came up with in week 1, and I wrote them on sentence strips, and I put them around the room with paper underneath. There's a link. Paper underneath, and then students had to travel to each reason and discuss and just talk about it. And then once they talked about it, they made like a bullet point list under each reason, expanding on that reason. And then once it was time to actually write their supporting details, they were able to look at those posters and remember all the different points that were talked about. So they brought in details that way, so that was pretty cool. Then week 3, finally, I have the students focus on their introduction and their closing the same day, because I like to teach students that when they're writing like a multi-paragraph essay, second and third grade, you want to kind of restate your introduction in your closing, so show them how those go together well, and you can write those the same day. Then they expanded on, they wrote the whole rough draft, they expanded on it, and then we did something that I like to do called musical papers, and it's a way that you peer edit, so you can do it with any writing also. You just play music on Pandora or whatever. Students have a colored pencil, and they travel the room, and they find somebody's draft. So all the drafts are laid out on different tables. When the music stops, they stop at someone's draft, they edit it with their colored pencil, and in that same color, their colored pencil, they write their name down here. And each time they go and edit, I give them something to edit. So instead of just saying, okay, go edit this, say, all right, check this draft for periods. They go through and make sure periods at the end of each sentence, that's it. Then we play the music again, they get up, la la la, dance, find another piece of paper, then they stop at the draft that's right in front of them when the music stops, and then I say, okay, now look for capital letters. They edit, they sign. So that's really fun too. And then they publish, and then I have something for the wall, which is always a challenge when you're a benchmark teacher. And that's the way that I like to extend it. Last year, I actually showed up with like a wig and a gavel, and we kind of did a little debate on that. So you can take your writing and do something even further with it if you wanted to. Jessica, I'm watching this as my kid is in the bath. You're a good mama. My kids are somewhere in Chinatown tonight. My stepdad his band is playing in Chinatown. They do a fundraiser each year called Save the Music, and all the money that they raise at his performance goes to the elementary schools there to keep their music program going. For Unit 4, I took a Snapchat picture of my kids with sunglasses on. I totally remember the sunglasses anchor chart. Yesenia, do you have a 4th grade bundle? I do, yes, on my TPT. For 1st grade, you might substitute a talking bubble for the sunglasses on an anchor chart and label it who is telling the story. Yes, exactly. It was such a great project. Thank you. Love this idea. Thanks, Quinn. What file is that with the 3 little pigs? Oh, it's on my TPT. It's called 3 Little Pigs. And then I discounted it 50% off. Let me link it here. Copy, paste. So it's on discount right now. Musical draft, thanks. Yeah, the kids love it. Musical papers, you can do it with any writing. Where do I find those for 5th grade, the editing papers? Are you talking about the 3 Little Pigs file? It's on my TPT. I designed this with 2nd and 3rd grade in mind, although I think it would be fine for 4th and 5th grade because the end product is like a multi-paragraph essay. In 4th and 5th, I might also add in another paragraph though for counter argument. For 2nd, I remember from last year, we talked about an invisible narrator for 3rd person, as opposed to I for 1st person. My kids really got into that idea and it stuck with them all year. There we go, cool. Okay, take a look at my poster for a minute. I'm gonna go get my charger because I'm at 2%. One thing, we have 5th grade teachers watching. One thing for 5th grade that I noticed was you're in Unit 3, 5th grade, your coring unit, you talk about point of view. You actually introduce it in Unit 3. You go over objective versus subjective point of view perspective. And that, I was kind of looking or expecting that in Unit 4, like a lot more of that. And I only really noticed, I think, 1 lesson. So it does kind of spiral. If your kids didn't get it in Unit 3, you'll be touching on it again, but not as heavy as you would think. How did daylight savings go with the kids? Mine were up at 5:30. Well, my daughter was up really late last night because we host the UFC fights at our house all the time, so we had people over. So that kind of threw us off, and then she woke up at 6:30. The baby woke up at 6:30 too. Do you know what stories we read in first for Unit 4? Yeah, let me pull it up. I don't remember the titles, but you're reading about a fox and a tricky fox. And you're reading 2 different stories that show the fox in one story, he kind of gets away with it in the end, and in the other story, he doesn't, and you're meant to feel bad for him in that story. Let me pull it up. So it's kind of a precursor to author's point of view and how, like, the wording that narrators use might influence you. Okay, you're reading, for week 1, your mentors are The City Mouse and the Country Mouse, A Quiet Camping Trip. Week 1, Chicken Little. Week 2, The Fox and the Little Red Hen. All right. Thanks, Allison. Yeah, there you go. What are some picture books that you can use as other mentor texts in Unit 4? Picture books with good points of view besides the 3 Little Pigs. Let me see what Benchmark suggests. Recommended trade books. So I'm online. If you click on the TRS online, you'll see on the left-hand navigation, you scroll down under additional resources, recommended trade books. So you've got The True Story of the 3 Little Pigs, go figure. I Have a Dream, Chloe and the Lion, One Cool Friend, Columbus, The Art of Miss Chu, Tales for Very Picky Eaters, and Farmer Will Allen and the Growing Table. That's it, one page. So that's for third. Okay, guys. Hope this helps. Again, I have the next 2 weekends booked up, but I can schedule something for when I'm done. We can come back to Unit 4 when you're a little bit more ready for it. I haven't been doing any plan with me this year because I figure you can watch past videos. I will link that plan with me for Unit 4. I have pictures of the planning templates also. But if you guys are missing those videos and you want me to do a plan with me, then just let me know and I will schedule one of those. I can do really any grade level. I just have to plan using the online version since I don't have TRSs at home. Emily, so the close reading companions, thank you. Do you do most of your worksheets whole group, small group, or individual? So here's something I like to say about these guys. These are meant to be done whole, like in your whole group lessons. They correspond with what you're teaching, like the lessons in your TRS. However, we all know that once your students start lifting lines, evidence from their text onto some sort of organizer, that really makes your lessons longer, right? So I like to say that if you are using these, or if you are using the tables that come, the graphic organizers that come with the benchmark program, expect for it to take longer in the beginning, but then start to release it. Once the students become more comfortable with it, with the idea of reading for a purpose and extracting information, you might start it with the kids and then have them do it in their small group, or even individually. Individually might be hard depending on your grade level. But eventually, like last year when I started doing these, it was Unit 7 or Unit 6, one of those. And I would start it with them and then they would go and finish it in their small groups. But try not to like get stuck in these because your lessons should be mini. Yesenia, can you link the 4th grade bundle from TPT? Sure. What exactly do you want? Like the 4th grade bundle that I have is like the spelling and grammar. It's all the center work, like things to do in small groups and centers. And then these close reading companions are, they're not bundled yet, only because I haven't made them all yet. So I'm making them as I go. At the end of the year, when I'm done with them all, I'll bundle them. But I'll link both for you as soon as I sign off. For 2nd grade, I did Little Red Riding Hood is Really Rotten. I had a couple of others too. I did not want to do the True Story of the Three Little Pigs because that was the 3rd grade text. So I didn't want to take their text. Are you talking about the small readers, Gail? In 3rd, we are reading about Jack and the Beanstalk and the giant. The giant's perspective. But what are we reading week 1? I don't remember doing Three Little Pigs as part of benchmark. Let's see, week 1, 3rd grade. Oh yeah, the Cinderella stories. The Cinderella Too Much for Words, and then Cinderella's Very Bad Day. Cinderella's Very Bad Day is a journal entry, a diary, and then Too Much for Words is a play. Susie, yes, they're ready. Okay, yes, and I'll start linking things. Let me just sign up and sign off, and then I'll go through and answer those in the comments. Anyway, let me know how I can help you for the next time, how we should move forward. If something stood out to you from this video, let me know what you thought was helpful. And again, if you need me to do a plan with me, I'm happy to do that, show you how to fill out those planning templates. Alrighty, so hope you guys have a good week, and I'll be around to answer questions in the comments. Bye.